Ken Cornelius, Pensacola League.
Thank you, Ken. And those happy little cups that you guys are all drinking were given to us by the Better Business Bureau and the SBBC, so we can thank them for not only supporting this organization, but also allowing you to drink that coffee. So, we actually have started up something called a breakfast sponsorship as well. So, every single week we give away a free breakfast that you can redeem the following week that you come. So, we give these out to very special people who are very participative, so ask those questions during our Q&A session, and we are giving those out to people who we believe are participating, who are engaging with our presenters, and really just being great representatives of 1 Million Cups. And we can thank Matthew Vieira with Colorado Junk Removal for being our breakfast sponsor this month. Okay, last but not least, before we move on to our first presenter, go ahead and silence those cell phones. Check in on the 1 Million Cups app, only if you have an Android. iPhone is going to have some sort of solution in the future via Facebook event provided by me, so I will get on that. We will have those eventually, I promise. But in the meantime, put your hands together for Edward Salazar of Lush F2F.
Hi, good morning. My name is Edward Salazar. I recently just started my own small business in the height of COVID called Lush F2F Food Truck. So we do a little bit of everything. We're very seasonal. We try to stay local, so everything we do is either made by somebody that has a shop locally or a farm or anything like that. So just a bunch of different stuff. So I actually started a while ago when I started cooking in college and stuff like that. Is kind of whenever I realized I wanted to kind of do something for myself. I really didn't realize that it was going to take me to the whole food truck aspect. I kind of wanted to do restaurants and catering and big stuff like that. But you know, with COVID and all the restrictions and everything like that, food truck just kind of seemed like a good way to go, especially now in the economy and everything that's going on. But I've kind of done everything. I've went from, you know, big corporations, small corporations, private companies, a little bit of everything. And, you know, I just realized that I wanted to do something that not only helped people, other small businesses and things like that, but also brought joy to people and just made them happy. You know, food is always the comfort thing and always makes people happy. So definitely one of the reasons why I got into it. So our main goal is to basically put money back into everybody else. So we partner with local farms, try to stay close by. So we do from like Colorado Springs and Pueblo. We use a lot of like Muso's farms and stuff like that. Produce, meats. I own a little bit of a farm, it's very small, but I raise like cows and pigs and chickens. So we try to use them on the truck as much as possible as well. And then just kind of like small bakeries, all our bread is local, desserts are made either in-house or by somebody that we know that does a lot better work than I do. Yeah, we just try to stay very, very small, very local. We've actually got a really good opportunity in the last few months, about 3-4 months ago. We partnered with a company actually right down the street off of South Nevada that they do beer, so they're a beer garden, but they do all beer and all alcohol local as well. So we are permanently located there with them. We're kind of like a truck restaurant kind of thing, but we partnered with them and they have the same view as we do. So they use all local ingredients, all local alcohol, beers, everything like that. So it's really awesome to have another company, another, you know, private business owner that has the same views as we do. It's very enlightening and very nice to see that, you know, we're not the only ones that want to kind of help Colorado Springs and help Colorado kind of rise and get to the spot that we want it to be. Since then, we've kind of, you know, we're very short. I should have probably said that. We opened up at the beginning of this year, and then we recently haven't really got into the full gear until about 3 months ago when we got our permanent location. But since then, since our 3 months that we've been at our permanent location, we've been very lucky to be able to kind of expand what I thought the business was going to be. So we've actually started like an umbrella company. So we're doing like Lush F2F eateries, and then underneath that, we're going to try to do like tons of other stuff, like local markets, private caterings, really like high-end dinners. So luckily we've been able to expand that, and I'm really excited to kind of see how that plays out and how that looks in the future, to see what we can do for more smaller businesses and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just really excited, and I'm glad I get to share it with you guys and kind of see some insight from other people that I've haven't seen insight before from. It's really exciting to have a small business, and I didn't realize there's so many people that do have small businesses and private businesses here. So it's very fortunate that we get to talk and get to be organized and come as a community to kind of help each other and rise each other up and make it really good. So I appreciate it.
Okay. I'll go first for Q&A. So I know you're really nervous, obviously.
A little bit, yeah.
Did you
Sorry.
get more nervous when you got up there?
A little bit, yeah. It's the lights. The lights kind of.
Tell us about go back to the beginning, okay? Because you started recently this past year. Let's talk about that transition during COVID. What did you do prior?
Okay.
And what happened to get you to launch the business?
Yeah. So my last job, I was the executive chef at Colorado College. I ran the Fine Arts Center there. So whenever the whole COVID hit, obviously schools kind of got hit hard. A lot of the students were either taken back to different countries where they came from, or were just not allowed on property and stuff like that. So I worked there for as long as I basically could, and then they kind of laid us off, and then just kind of waited to see. But just being in the industry and just kind of going and moving, I really didn't want to sit there too long, so I just kind of weighed my options and see what I could have done and what I could do and stuff like that. So that's whenever I kind of got the idea that, is it a restaurant, is it a food truck? But with the COVID restrictions and everything like that, food truck just seemed more logical and stuff like that. So.
What made you make the decision to go from a standard food truck that moves around, goes to a parked food truck in partnership with a specific facility?
Yeah, so one of the main things, so I'm a very stationary chef, I've worked for companies where I didn't have to do like marketing and stuff like that. So then when I started my food truck, the hardest thing was basically just having people come to you. So they have like food rallies and food truck rallies and stuff like that, but it seems like even with the food truck rallies, people just went for their food truck. So I was going to places and not seeing like any kind of business. So it's really hard to get a following when you're moving so much, and it's so inconsistent and stuff like that. So for restaurants, consistency is key, and with a food truck, it's just really hard to have that consistency. So when the opportunity came up that I was able to have the consistency, I definitely jumped at it because it was something that was needed. So
let's talk about the name of the business and why you came up with Lush F2F.
yes, so the F2F is farm to fork. Lush just kind of seemed like the whole greenery and just nice, luscious kind of like background and stuff. But yeah, so I wanted to put the food fork in the name just to reiterate that we try to keep everything local, everything fresh, everything nice. And then also, I wanted something that was a little bit more high-end, because whenever I did my food truck, I came from like a fine dining background and stuff like that. So when I did my food truck, I tried to do like elevated food. So I wanted something that was like very professional, that wasn't just like a kind of like gimmicky kind of thing. So I wanted something that, kind of had an elevated name for the elevated food that we do out of there. So yeah, sorry.
I'm super excited to hear that you were the chef over at the college, because I frequent the buffet quite often, and it was very yummy. But so what type of food do you serve? Is it breakfast, lunch, dinner? What types of items?
Yeah, so right now we do brunch on the weekends, and then we do dinner. And especially going into fall, our hours will change a little bit, but we'll be there basically every day. It'll just be probably mostly for dinner come fall. But we serve a little bit of everything. I try to do it like a restaurant type of food truck. So we do, for summer we did like salads, entrees and desserts. Now for fall we'll do some soups. We do a little bit of appetizers, entrees and desserts as well. So we try to cover the full array of things. Also being from a restaurant, I was able to realize that people are like gluten-free and nut-free and stuff like that. So we always have that on the menu as well. So we're just very versatile, very open to whatever's available and type of year and type of season. So.
To piggyback off of that, will you tell us a little bit more about your specific menu? And I'm always intrigued. Tell us about your creative process in developing your menu.
Yeah, so it's a little wonky and complicated, but I'm very visual, so I like to do like things that look good. So I play with colors and different like sizes and stuff like that. And then also my dishes are very textural, so I try to make sure my dishes have like something crunchy, something smooth, something fatty, something vinegary. So I try to do a whole lot of that. So one of the items that we had for summer was a pork belly in a pork belly broth with a sous vide egg and like pea tendrils and stuff like that. Yeah, so,
You talk sexy.
yeah.
More like that, you guys, keep talking.
So now that fall's happening, we'll play into like butternut squash soups and stuff like that. We're starting to do like birria and stuff. So just trying to do like upscale stuff. We have Pop-Tarts coming this fall, but they're like really upscale Pop-Tarts and they're made locally here in town and stuff like that. So yeah, so we're just trying to make sure that everything's kind of complementary to itself, but then everything is kind of its own composed dish, with the different textures and different stuff that we put into it. So yes.
Me or him?
All
right. Can you talk about some of the challenges with being a farm to fork type of restaurant?
Yeah, so one of the biggest, I'm getting better now, but one of the biggest challenges that we had at the beginning was I was using really small farms, like even mine. So whenever I was just kind of like spouting around and going around and stuff like that, it was fine. But now that we had the permanent location and we're open 7 days a week, some of them we couldn't keep up. I couldn't even keep up with my own stuff like that. So then we had to go to a little bit bigger farms. But the good thing about being able to go back to the smaller farms is we do specials. So depending on what they have or what they've produced and stuff like that, then we run specials all the time for different things. So that helped out a lot, but that was probably the biggest challenge, was just seeing if they had the food that we needed. So the very beginning stages of our menu changed drastically, like week to week. Like literally some items wouldn't even be available. The next week it'd be totally different. So that was a main struggle, and consistency, like I said, was the main thing that kind of
Yeah, and as a follow-up, did you have any, not trouble, but just kind of a process of trying to figure out pricing structure with getting a higher quality ingredient?
Yes, so actually I feel like COVID helped a little bit with the farm aspect. A lot of the farmers that I'm friends with and stuff like that, because the demand was so high, they pushed to do better things. So a lot of farmers that were growing like 50 pounds and just doing a little patch over here and letting it go of like potatoes, they put money in and invested to do like a nice crop with nice irrigation, with nice products and stuff like that to get more potatoes. So I think COVID pushed a lot of people to go away from like Walmarts and stuff like that and go to the farms. Unfortunately, now it's kind of regressed the opposite direction. So now a lot of the farmers are actually struggling because they have too much product. Yeah, so I have a farmer that lives by me that he does cows, and he bought like 150 cows to come in, and then now he's kind of stuck with them because nobody's buying any of that stuff anymore. But hopefully places like us and other places like that can definitely try to push that and get it back to where it used to be. So.
All right. Hey, first of all, thank you. It is incredible what you're doing. I don't even know if you understand the impact of what you're bringing to our community and what that's going to mean for us going forward. So thank you for doing that, taking the chance, taking the risk to do that work. The question for me is, you seem really bullish about Colorado, about local products, about local things that we are bringing for our taste buds. So where does that passion for Colorado, why are you so bullish? Is this home for you? What's the deal?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Colorado. I lived in a small mountain town, Antonito, kind of like by Alamosa and stuff. So there's a lot of farms and stuff out there, and that's kind of like what we ate out there. Everything's like super local. But you know, I think that's where I got my passion, was just I lived my whole life here. My family's been here. You know, I have 4 nephews that all went to school at the same school that I went to. Even now, I just recently had a daughter and stuff like that, so I hope she can stay in Colorado and stuff. I just feel like Colorado's like the perfect spot. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold. I get a nice even, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just love Colorado, and I want to kind of give back to what Colorado's given me and stuff like that. So,
Thank you.
Actually, way in the back.
So in the beginning, you said that you had an influx, and sometimes you had certain things available, and sometimes you didn't. How difficult was it for you to come up with a menu with constantly changing items?
It's pretty rough, especially with a food truck. I feel like, I was very lucky where I was able to make my food truck, so I kind of put it as like a kitchen design. But a lot of food trucks don't have that ability, so they're very restricted. You know, they have like 2 fryers and like a flat top, and that's it. Luckily for me, I have like one of everything, so I have like a stove, burners, flat tops. So I was able to get whatever I needed and then just adapt because I had the equipment to do so. But a lot of places don't, so then you have to take into account like what can go in the fryer, you know, how many items do I have in the fryer, and that kind of muddles it. So I was very lucky where I didn't have to kind of think like, oh, I can't have too many fryer items, because if I had too many fryer items, I just did it as an oven item and stuff like that. So it was difficult, but I was able to adjust because of the equipment and stuff that I had. So that made it nice.
So you said you knew at an early age that you liked cooking, you enjoyed cooking, that's something you wanted to do. What about entrepreneur? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur prior to the pandemic, or did that kind of just, you were sitting around and was like, you know what, I got to do something?
So I think I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My father owned businesses and stuff like that. At first, I didn't want to be one because it seemed hard. You know what I mean? You're kind of doing everything. Especially with my father, we were very small businesses at the time. So I mean, he was everything. You know, the janitor, the cook, the manager, basically everything. So that kind of like steered me away. And that's kind of why I went to like corporate places, because they have people for all that. But I think as I was going, and then definitely my daughter kind of helped, was I just kind of wanted to leave something of my own, like my own legacy and stuff like that. And then finally realized that like hard work does pay off. So if I have to take all the positions available, then I got to do that, and it'll make me better, it'll make it better for my family and stuff like that. So that's something that definitely pushed me to be my own boss and be an owner of a small business.
You said that you have one location and then you have you're branching out to umbrellas. Is the umbrella like event driven? Can you do events?
Yes. So we're planning on trying to do a lot of different event things. We've already partnered with some, like the Boys and Girls Club of the Pikes Peak region and stuff like that. That we've done like their private galas and stuff. So we've done things like that, and we're wanting to do more, especially like in small businesses and small like places to raise money and things like that. Especially if it's the money staying local, we definitely want to be a part of that. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so fortunate that I found you guys, and we've had people come up and talk to us about what the community here is like, because this is something definitely that I want to be involved in and go from that. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing more events and more stuff like that. So
to play off that last question, corporate lunch catering, is that within your wheelhouse as well? Is that something you're going to be looking for?
Yeah, so we do an array of stuff, which is made possible by just me moving around a lot whenever I was working. But we've done, catering, buffet style, plated style. We do everything from, just something super small, super nonchalant to like super fancy, like 13-course meals, 12-course meals, stuff like that. So that's one of the things that we're venturing to do as well, is just kind of have a spot where we can showcase that and then do it for like really high-end donors and stuff like that have deep pockets to pay for that kind of stuff, to help out some of the community stuff and things like that. So
I wonder, with you being open 7 days a week, that's pretty high burnout, so is this a family-run thing, or do you hire employees? Because, with the pandemic, finding help nowadays is very difficult. So do you have family that's helping out? There's a lot of prep involved.
yeah, so as of right now, it kind of consists of both. Mostly my family, so my wife helps out whenever she can. My mom works on the truck with me and stuff like that, so she's pretty good. And my sister helps prep and things like that, and then also my nephew, he works on the truck with us. But I've been very fortunate so far that the employees that I have hired have worked with me before, so they're the type that'll be like, oh, what are you doing now? I'll work for you and stuff like that. So finding work right now hasn't been a struggle for me, but needless to say, if we do expand and go crazy like that, then it probably will, because it's affecting every single restaurant right now, and especially the food industry directly. So finding good help is really hard right now.
Let's talk about the support of your family. Whenever you came home, you're going, hey, I'm going to launch this thing, invest all this money, and by the way, I don't know what the return's going to be. How did they take that? And what has that support been like for you?
So, serious conversations with my wife and stuff, because, well, she just had a baby, so she was out of the workplace. And then me kind of being out of the workplace too, kind of left it like there's no income coming in and stuff like that. Luckily, I'm kind of a saver, halfway saver, so I was able to be okay for a little while, but it was definitely something that, those were the more serious talks and stuff. It was like, how we're going to do stuff, how we're going to manage this, what happens if this happens, what happens if this happens. So that was kind of one of the big things too, is going into the food truck, was I didn't want to get myself into any debt just in case. So a lot of the things I did at the beginning, I did myself, or things like that, which, now I'm trying to branch out, so I'm not doing everything myself. And then with my family, it was just real supportive. So my mom was happy. My mom wanted to work with me on the truck and stuff like that. And it was very, very supportive. Even now for fall, my sister's like a Instagram junkie and stuff like that. So she's always looking at like recipes and different things. And she's like, oh, look at what's trending, look what's on, look at this. So she's always trying to make things and just be really involved, which is super awesome. So.
Can you tell us again exactly where your permanent spot is?
Yes, so it's 401 South Nevada. So it's actually like about 4 blocks south from here.
Nevada, Castilla.
Yeah, Castilla.
Is that the garden?
Yes. So what's the name of the place?
Yes.
So that's the garden. So I'm the permanent food truck for the garden, and then every week they'll have a different food truck as well, just to be tied with me and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really good spot, really great place. It's all outside, very nice, local ingredients and stuff like that. So yes.
So you said that you do brunch on the weekends. Is that at the garden?
Yes.
And what are the hours?
So we do brunch. Right now it's 11 to 2, and then they have brunch mimosas and all the good stuff too. But, yeah, we do brunch, and we try to do just a few items, like 4 or 5 items, and we serve our regular dinner menu as well. So.
All right, everybody, it is time for our super special question. We should have given out paddles, right? Who gets to do it?
It's me.
What's the
Okay,
question?
so what can we as Colorado Springs business community do to help you?
Yes, so I thought about this a lot.
Good job.
So a couple of things. One of the main things is probably like just word of mouth and social media. I feel like, that's the easiest way to get stuff out, and it's kind of hard when you don't have that established fan base yet. So it'd be a great appreciation if, just stuff was being shared and being liked, being invited to different events and stuff like that. And then the second thing is, so I have like the food aspect of local businesses, you know, like where to get my meats and proteins and stuff that from. But one of the hardest things I haven't been able to find, or good anyways, is like local marketing for like t-shirts and decals and doing like the small stuff, you know, that's local, because I want to keep it local. I can go somewhere and get it, but I really want to try to help a small business and make sure that everything on my truck is local. So that's one of the big things I'm looking for as well. So. Thank you.
And you get the honorary orange cup for speaking, so thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Good job, Thank you so much. That was so exciting. I think we all know where we will be getting dinner. Yes. Oh, thank you. All right, well, we are now at our halfway point. So we traditionally have Andrew Hasley as our media sponsor. However, Flip has been a wonderful fill-in with for recording this and getting this online. It is now time for community announcements. So if you know of anything going on in the community, this is not a pitch, this is not about you or your business, just a time to share about local events that we can go support as Colorado people. So please line up and go right ahead.
So first of all, today is Madeline's birthday. Happy birthday. Have you guys ever, do you remember the Frosty the Snowman, the old movie where he goes, happy birthday? Like, that's my favorite way to do it instead of singing the obnoxious song that goes on forever. So on the count of 3, happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. And then we also have a milestone birthday in the audience. So Frank Sinclair, milestone, you don't mind everybody knowing how old you are, right, Frank? 65. So let's make sure we celebrate that with Frank, because we all love and want to support Frank. And then my real announcement is the Spook Out Shootout is at Sand Creek World Golf on Powers out east off of Galley. So if you guys have ever been there to shoot the range, the 2 weekends before Halloween, they always have a festival. So from 4 to 9, it's an amazing date night or family night. So if you've never been, come talk to me and I'll fill you in if you want to be a sponsor to pass out candy, or if you just want to go as a family member, I can help you with that.
Awesome. I would totally talk to you.
Hey guys, so we have the 27th annual and Night of Excellence coming up on October 21st, and so last year we had to do that virtually, but we're really excited to come back in person at the Flying W Ranch. And so most people that we've talked to, no one's been there since they reopened, and it is a beautiful space, iconic Colorado Springs brand. And so we would just love to see all of you guys there. You can get your tickets at nightofexcellence.org.
All right, tonight is Nerd Night. Who wants to learn about stuff tonight and have a nice strong brain? Anybody? I know she can help with strong brains if you want to go to college. But so tonight's Nerd Night is, the first guy is Dan, and he's going to talk about why you may want an electric car. Second person is Mike. Where's Danielle to tell me how to say it right? Pac. And he's going to talk about 150 years of Colorado Springs and photos. And the last speaker is Madeira Kay, and she's going to tell us about the history of radiation oncology. So please come out to Nerd Night. Let's have a good time together.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tyson Lease. I'm on the board for the Front Range Power Connectors. And just a reminder, on the 4th Tuesday of every month, we host our Power Connectors happy hour networking event here at 3 East Comedy Club from 5:45 to about 7:45 or so. And I believe that this month it's September 28th. So just keep that in mind, put it on your calendars. It's a fun time, laid back time, and yeah, come join us.
Alrighty guys, so 2 things coming up for CASA, especially at the Garden on October 6th. It's a Wednesday, 6 p.m. Dudes and Brews. Guys, if you want to help kids, CASA really could use a bunch of guys to come out and mentor and be a CASA for the young men who are going through the CASA program and are also in foster care. These guys are definitely underserved. And sometimes as a teen, you really need a guy to help you through those teenage years. And then second of all, right now is the Light of Hope for Teller County. So this is one of CASA's biggest fundraisers of the year. And it's happening in Teller County. We'll also have one here in El Paso County here shortly. But if you want to be a part of that, please let me know.
Good morning, everyone. I have, thanks Frank, 2 things to share. I live way up north in Monument, so they're Monument events. This Saturday is Bines and Brews. It is an upscale, I don't know why they call it that, but it's an upscale brew fest at Lambeau Park in Monument, and it's supporting the Tri-Lakes Chamber. And then the last Wednesday of this month is the Empty Bowls event, which supports Tri-Lakes Cares. And the idea is that potters make these handmade bowls, and you get one free with your registration. And the concept is that there are people who have empty bowls, but you get to take this piece of art home with you. And there's also a silent auction and other fun stuff. And so that obviously supports Tri-Lakes Cares.
All right, well, coming up on October 9th, I'm helping out with the Domestic Violence Health, Family Health and Safety Summit. And so if you'd like more information on that, whether to sponsor or attend, please come and see me again. It's on October 9th.
Thank you. Good job, Ed, by the way. So I just want to say there are a lot of really cool events that go on in the city. The way I met Ed is actually an event that the SBDC hosts the first Friday of every month called Small Biz Real Talk. They meet with a local business owner, they interview them about their financial situation, how they launch, their struggles, their wins, all that stuff. I know Dylan at Dart Wars has done it. So that's how I met Ed. There's a lot of cool events you can do other than 1 Million Cups to actually meet people and support this local community. So the first Friday of October, they're doing Cacao Chemistry, which is the chocolate place. Woo-hoo! So anyway, heads up, go check out the SBDC's page. They have really cool events going on, and it's just a great way to engage with local business owners and help support them. So just a reminder.
There's a co-housing discussion at 6:30. It's on Meetup. If every company is the culture of its people, then maybe you'll enjoy that.
Awesome job, guys. So I assume you all will be nicer to me now that you know it's my birthday, right? Yeah, right.
Were we mean to you to begin with?
I expect lots of that. Before we announce our second presenter, I just want to give a huge hand to our organizers of this group. They volunteer their time to make sure that this can happen. So if all of our organizers could stand up and we can give them a round of applause, that would be wonderful. And then our alumni as well, give them a round of applause. We are so grateful to have them. Awesome, guys. And then I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't ask you to go follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are doing stories, we are posting. Go and help us engage with our content. Go and invite your friends. Tell us about this wonderful community. We are growing at such a rapid pace, so it's really amazing to see new faces in here. And you all get to help us do that. So, please help us introduce Rachel Coyce with Simple Switch. Hi guys.
I just feel so honored that I got to watch the community support the first presenter so well. Also, we're like all really hungry for farm-to-table food now, right? I live in North Denver, so I haven't actually been to Colorado Springs in maybe 15 or 20 years. So it was really fun driving up this morning and seeing how gorgeous of a community it is. I'm just gonna turn on a timer here. So
I got you covered.
Great. Okay, thank you. Yeah, but I am just really impressed. I've done 1 Million Cups before in Denver, and just really impressed with the kind of empathy and compassion, but also really practical support that I'm already seeing from this group. So thanks in advance for that. My name is Rachel Coyce. I'm the CEO and founder of Simple Switch. We're an online marketplace similar to something like Amazon, where you can go and shop for everyday items, but the difference is everything that we sell has some sort of social or environmental impact.
impact. So this looks everything from toilet paper that's made from sustainable bamboo and wrapped in plastic-free packaging to things like jewelry that is made by women who are coming out of sexual exploitation or human trafficking. We have more than 3,000 products now, which is still wild for me to say, but normally I would have a slide up here with a QR code, so if you're like me and you would prefer to see this visually while I'm talking, the website is simpleswitch.org. We also have a mobile app, and I won't be offended if I see you guys scrolling around. I love that you guys have this huge focus on the entrepreneurial story, so I'm gonna start way back at the beginning. I think a lot of people in this room probably feel the same way, that they can't really pinpoint what made them the entrepreneur that they are today, but a few factors in my life include the fact that I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. I grew up in Broomfield, just north of Denver, and my parents are owners of a residential real estate company that was all their own, and so I got to grow up watching them not only be entrepreneurs and see that that's possible, but also see them be such values-aligned entrepreneurs. I still have them help my friends buy houses and things like that because they really treat everyone like family. And so I think it looked really normal to me to not only be able to own my own business, but also use business as a force for good. And I think that also showed me some of the wonderful things about entrepreneurship, like the freedom and control over the values of your business, the freedom over your time to spend on other things that are important to you, like family. So that certainly impacted me. Growing up in gorgeous Colorado absolutely impacted me, and just having the mountains be my playground and my backyard. I think I had parents and grandparents who would sort recycling before it was cool and stop on the side of the road to pick up litter, things like that. And so I think I had an awareness about kind of environmental impact and what I could be doing on a personal level, just really small things to impact that before a lot of people have had that opportunity. And then lastly, but certainly not least, I've been able to travel a lot. From a young age, my parents were really involved in things like service and mission work abroad, and I was able to kind of see things like poverty firsthand, and things like socioeconomic problems or oppression or various social injustices everywhere from, I think, orphans to addicts and things like that from a really young age, and then have grown into somewhat of a better understanding of those things and how I might, as a young white woman in Colorado, help some of those areas. So very thankful for that lens as well, and for my family background. So that's before any of the idea for this company came about, but I love y'all's focus on story, so I wanted to share that. I ended up studying business and also theater, which is interesting, at CU Boulder, and had the idea for Simple Switch while I was still in undergrad. So my senior year, I was thinking to myself, I had just gotten back from an internship doing business consulting in South Africa. We were working with under-resourced entrepreneurs in the Western Cape. And they were incredibly smart. I was taking classes in the morning, and then we would directly apply it to their business model in the afternoon. And I was just seeing the skills and the gumption and things that they had, but what they didn't have was access to market. And that felt really frustrating to me, because if I was starting their same business plan here, it would take off. They were doing great things. So when I got home after that incredible experience, I joked that I probably learned more in that 6 weeks internship than I learned my entire rest of my business school education, just because it was so hands-on and so meaningful. But when I got home, I was thinking, I'm still an undergrad, I don't have enough time or money to do anything crazy, but what I can do is try to become the market that they could have access to, right? How can I start to spend with companies who are making the kind of positive impact that these companies are having, and who might not have the resources otherwise unless I am spending my money with them. The same reason we love to support local small business. And then I realized it was really hard. I was an idealist. I thought to myself, I'll do okay, 70% of all of my spending will be towards social enterprises and environmental enterprises. And then I had homework, and I couldn't spend 2 hours looking to see what are the certifications around this pair of pants, and like, am I really, avoiding child labor, or is that, like, it was just very confusing. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. At the same time, Amazon was growing to have, this didn't really take off, but at that time they had the literal physical buttons that you could put in your laundry room and tap it, and then laundry detergent will come to your door, right? They were making it just easier and easier and more convenient. So that felt like a huge gap to me. So starting in the idea was in 2015, I traveled for a year after graduation, and then in 2017 started the boots on the ground work for this company. So we just celebrated 3 years of sales. it's wild to say that. It feels like it's been my whole life and a blink of an eye at the same time. We've been positive revenue the whole time, which has been incredible, but I have just recently started paying myself a small salary. Does that mean I'm done?
That is your 6 minutes.
Okay, great. That's why I wanted the timer.
Sorry, meant to catch that. Keep going, finish that thought.
I am really thankful for where we are today and the opportunities to scale that we have. So we're still a pretty small bootstrapped business. I've been working a lot on the infrastructure and tech behind what we do, building our partnerships, and now excited to move forward into scaling, becoming a more well-known name that our ultimate goal is to normalize this kind of shopping, because it really is everyday things. I'm sure a lot of things you guys have bought this week that we sell. So we're working on things like subscription model and things just to allow it to be easier and easier and easier for people to shop in an ethical way. So that's where we're at now. I'm excited to hear your questions and share more about what you guys are interested in.
Actually, I'm just looking at your app, and it's beautiful, by the way. Whoever
Thank
did
you.
your design, it's very clean. I love the way it looks. And it's funny that you're here today because I was so disgruntled last night
Yes, she
spending $30 on a pack of Charmin.
Oh, man.
I would much rather it go to a local company or a sustainable company that's making a positive impact. So thank you so much for just doing what you do and giving people a way to give back to the greater good.
Absolutely. And our best and most, I would say, just consistent toilet paper brand that I'm loving right now is called Cheeky Panda. So if you're looking to replace your Charmin, yeah, Cheeky Panda. So they do like environmental conservation work made of bamboo, but then on their website they have a lot of cute puns about like, we're taking the bamboo, but not the one the panda's like, don't worry, or something like that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was funny. Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about what you do. And thanks for coming down from Denver, the second best city in Colorado, and presenting to us today. Your platform is incredibly interesting. How are you getting wide reach with your name? What's the marketing plan? I've never heard of you.
Yeah.
This is going into the 4th year, right? So how are you extending reach? Is the strategy in our region first, and then maybe pouring that out nationwide, internationally, or whatever? What's the strategy behind that? And how is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I'm glad you've heard of me now. But I'm excited for the day that I come to something like this and people are like, oh, we know about this already, right? Yeah, so I would say the marketing up to this point has been really strong word of mouth. People fall in love with our mission and then tell their friends. And so we have a really loyal customer base, but to your point, it's really regional right now because it's the people I'm able to have these discussions with. So my marketing plan is for you guys to share about it. But we're also pushing into a lot more paid marketing over the last year and doing a lot of kind of experimenting with how our paid ad spend performs so that we're able to then potentially I'm kind of in the discovery phase with angel investors and VCs. And so eventually it'll be a capital injection into some of that paid marketing. With that aside, we're also doing some really cool partnerships right now with companies that already have a captive audience that would fit us. So for instance, local compost pickup companies, we're, giving a QR code to our app and saying like, great job taking this first step, in your environmental journey. Here's another way you can do it for the holidays or for your everyday toilet paper. Yeah. And things like vacation rentals, we are like supplying, things like the gift basket that they get when they come in. And it'll be similar things that you would expect from something like an Airbnb is shampoo and granola bars and coffee, things like that. But we're able to tell our story in a more personal way to those people. So I would say marketing is one of my biggest challenges right now because I would like it to be at a level where we're making probably 10 times the impact we're making right now next year. Cool thing is that I think we're at the potential to move in that direction, especially having focused on the infrastructure and tech. I'm a lot more comfortable putting larger scale funding into our marketing. Yeah, we could talk for hours about the marketing plan, but I think those are the basics.
Thank you.
So during your conversation with us, you had mentioned it became overwhelming researching the products, the vendors, the child labor, all the components and parts. How have you streamlined that process as well as your research and background checks to make sure these are ethical providers?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think the way that I've solved the problem is essentially, being a sponge to become an expert on those things. So for me, it's not overwhelming anymore. I can kind of look for certain categories, certifications, types of things, even language that can point me in the right direction to say, okay, yes, I'll take a call with this company, or no, I won't, and then I'm able to vet them further. So part of it is just 5 years of doing really intense research on these companies, which is now my favorite thing. We kind of have 3 main ways that we've streamlined the recruiting process. So one is that if I know, oh, we don't have a sunglasses supplier, is one that I'm looking for now. So then I'll go and look for kind of the best in sustainability and social impact and those things and push forward. We have them sign an impact partner commitment, which holds them to a standard of kind of our lowest possible standard of environmental and social impact, as well as a commitment that they're always going to be increasing their impact in those things. The cool thing is none of the companies we work with are at all upset by that. They are values-based. This is the reason that they exist. So everyone is always wanting to kind of do the onward and upward that we're doing as well. And then we have them also fill out a survey and provide us if they have certain things like paid certifications, such as B Corp or Fair Trade, which we often look for, they'll send us, like verification that they have those certifications. Otherwise, we look for some kind of third-party, not necessarily certification, but verification that they're making the kind of impact that they say they're making. So if I'm not an expert on something, like for instance, recently I've been looking into a lot of the like Leaping Bunny certified is not something that I'm as comfortable with as like empowerment through employment or sustainability focused certification. So I'll reach out to an expert about that and have them also look at this company and make sure that they are doing what they say they're doing and that it actually matters. Like skincare is not a passion of mine, so if I'm looking at a product I'm unfamiliar with or a certification, I often reach out for mentorship, advice, expertise. And then the other 2, just since I started it this way, is customers reach out to us telling us, I've been buying from this brand, they have an incredible impact, look at them. So that's our second way. We have a forum on our website if you have any suggestions. And then more recently, companies have been reaching out to us, which is hugely exciting to me. And I think because we're so clear about our values, we very rarely have companies reaching out to us who are not aligned. Every once in a while we get one that's pretty scammy, but otherwise, yeah, we really hear from some of the best who we are also solving a problem for them in being found by customers who want to shop this way. So that's been really special for me to see that it's not only serving you guys as customers, but also our partners and our suppliers.
So a little tip on your way out of town when you head to I-25, stop by Yobel and the local Honey Collective. They're both sustainable retailers, and they both have sunglasses.
Amazing.
I just here from
Cool.
the local Honey Collective.
Yeah, so awesome. Yeah, I would love to do that, and I do plan to spend the day like kind of looking around here, so I'm excited for that. Thanks.
Let's talk about logistics. So when an order comes in, it goes directly to the supplier and they place that order from there.
Yeah.
What's that been like to set up? Any challenges, things like that?
Yep, so we're a drop shipper, so it's not like I have a warehouse full of these things, which you guessed correctly. But essentially it started because my goal is so much to increase the impact of these suppliers. It started with me being like, I will hodgepodge together any solution that's gonna make you comfortable and empower. Because I was asking for so much feedback from the suppliers, I think it's turned into this really beautiful thing where they feel well cared for and we're able to kind of share the load of work. We just recently moved to, so for a while, it was literally, it makes me laugh because it's so big and automated now, but it was literally an order would come in to our Shopify site and then I would take that order and put that information into their customer-facing website because I didn't want to create any extra invoicing logistical arms that's gonna take away from their time and capacity and impact that they can make. Now we do that same thing, but with an automated software, which is much better. And that also does the order fulfillment, so the order placement. It keeps track of our inventory numbers to make sure that what they have is actually what's showing on our site. There's been, hiccups along the way with that, but I think it has ultimately gotten just better and better. We've had a couple consulting teams and interns and things come in and work with me on making those changes. One of my interns also helped me with the app redesign, so everyone always compliments it. I love telling her that. So it's mostly that, but I feel like we've settled into a really good place, which is why I'm excited to scale. It's hard to see with the lights, so anyone can wave at me if they need.
So the first question, just out of curiosity, it sounds like this is your full-time gig. And the second question would be, how many employees do you have and where's that from?
Yeah, so I'm the only full-time employee. It's been my full-time thing for maybe 2 or 2.5 of the 3 years we've been doing sales. So I had another job while I was building, but for most of the time it's been my full-time gig. part of that has meant that I lived with my parents for several years and things like that. So it's not my full-time, well-salaried gig, but it is my full-time gig. We have had a few paid freelancers, and we have never had another full-time employee. I hope to hire early in 2022 for my first 1 or even 2 full-time employees as I pursue that funding I mentioned. Likely 1 in marketing and 1 in kind of tech and infrastructure. But to say that I did it alone would be crazy, because we've had so many people jump on board who are excited about the mission and say things like, I've done data analytics for 20 years in e-commerce, but I hate my job and it's boring and I want to do something that makes it different. So can I do, some projects for you? And so that has really pushed us forward in amazing ways. The other thing that we've done is an internship program, which started because someone at CU, my alma mater, said, hey, I need an internship for my degree. She was someone I knew loosely. She said, I love your company. Do you take interns? And I said, I could. And so that was nearly the beginning of our business. And now I've had 5 cohorts of interns, and now we get 30 applications every semester from interns who want to come and work with us. So blessing and a curse, because interns are a lot of work, but they also are incredibly rewarding. They learn a ton. We get a ton out of it. So yeah, employees-wise, that's the long answer. And then the other person at that table.
So not so much a question, but we're going back to your answer from a couple questions ago on how you research the companies to see if they actually are doing the that they say they are. So at BDB, we're rolling out a program called BDB for Good. Right now it's on the pilot stage, but we're going to do exactly that, where we're going to go and investigate those organizations. So just something to look forward to, like once it starts rolling out in the next year or 2, it's a really great place. I love that. And that's what the research has already been done.
So good, yeah. And so I'll use resources like that, or like I mentioned, B Corp's list of certified B corporations, because we have that certification, so I know how intense that vetting process is. So I know I have a certain amount of trust in those companies. Same with fair trade, climate neutral, like Leaping Bunny certified. Like I said, that's one I'm less familiar with, but we kind of look. And so I'm so excited that you guys are going to be doing that work as well.
So what is the financial relationship between you and the suppliers, retail versus wholesale, consignment, fee-based, what does that look like?
Yep, as a drop shipper, I would say that we're somewhere between kind of a wholesaler and an affiliate, because we make a margin on each sale. For us, it's an average of 30%. That's something that has also grown and changed as I've gone from a manual person kind of begging companies to be on our site because they had no reason to trust what we were doing. And now it's kind of the opposite, where we're able to negotiate the margins based on how much promotion they're hoping that we're going to do and how much we're able to kind of utilize the margins we're making from them versus kind of some minimums, because we try to be really flexible with our suppliers as well, because we are trying to help them make impact. So if it's taking away from the work they're doing in orphan care, we don't want to do that. We're never trying to be we hear a lot of stories of exploitation of these companies from retailers like Amazon, where they kind of have to sell there in order to get their name out because it's such a monopoly. But then they're treated horribly and they get terrible margins, and it sometimes even puts their companies out of business. So I work really hard to go the other way with that. But yeah, we get a margin off of each sale, and that's how we make our revenue.
What is the trending percentage of growth?
Yeah, great question. We were doing kind of, do you mean market as a whole, or our growth?
Your growth.
Yeah,
as the company.
so we were doing, I would say, doubling almost every quarter. Christmas throws that off, because Christmas would be like 4 times or 5 times, and then going into January, we're obviously not going to beat that. But this past year, with COVID, has been interesting, because at first it was a huge boom in sales for us. As you can imagine, an online retailer who sells toilet paper was very popular. And then I think it's been economic hardship for a lot of people. So I think a lot of people have, tighten their purse strings, which makes a lot of sense, and kind of there's been this interesting pendulum swing versus make sure you support small businesses, because they might go out and then also don't buy anything. And so it's been really interesting. So this past year has been a combination of those swings, or maybe I'd say the last 6 months, 2021. And also we have put a lot more of our energy into automating those processes that were manual, so that going into 2022, we're able to scale a lot faster. So I think it's been doubling most quarters and most years, and then this year's kind of been plateauing with hopes for much more than doubling next year. Oh, it's good. I just already took one from you, but it looks like I already took one from him too. So, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier a positive revenue from the beginning,
Yeah.
which is insanity. So the rest of you entrepreneurs don't expect that.
I'm lucky.
Just saying. Yeah, you're very, very lucky. And
I wouldn't use the word profitable since I'm not paying myself a healthy salary yet,
Yeah,
but positive revenue the whole time. So that's nice.
yeah, I understand the distinction. So, but positive is still positive. So which is really good. And a salary that you've been recently able to take on around the 3-year mark, which is really typical of entrepreneurs. So, with all that said, how are you positioned mentally for the upcoming years that you're going to be able to do this? Are you looking? You know that this is going to be traction. Do you know that you're going to be able to stay in this space? Yeah. So,
Yeah, I just love that question. The reason I'm like making this, dopey face while you ask that is just that's the only kind of question that you get in a room full of entrepreneurs who get it, right? Like I love someone asked about burnout too. Like how are you taking care of yourself? How are you paying yourself? How are you mentally positioned? It's a very unique question to hear. I have never been more passionate about anything in my whole life, so that helps me feel well positioned to do this until I die. More recently, I have been more open to the idea that I could do this for 5 to 10 years, sell or acquire or do something like that, and then move into making similar impact through that sale somehow. Whether that be, turning into an investor myself, or whether that, a lot mentorship, coaching, anything like that. But I think I'm leaning towards writing this out as long as I'm able. I just love the work we get to do. I love the conversations I get to have, and then the fact that I can see a sale come through on our website and not only think, wow, my business is growing, but also think, we divested from an exploitative company by doing that and invested in this company that I have personally seen. A lot of our companies I've been able to visit from California to Guatemala. So that's been an incredible opportunity as well. But I can't imagine I'm gonna stop feeling excited about that. And because it's so challenging as well, I love that part of it, and the ways that I'm able to grow. I am excited. I think the mental strain comes from we are growing and I am still only one human. So I'm so excited to make our first few hires so that becomes, I can continue to do the growth and strategy and really build it to, a huge national brand if we're able, which I believe we are, but that sounds intense. And be able to put some of that kind of day-to-day, the idea of running the business and not having the business run me, I'm very excited to get to that point. Thanks for asking.
All right, last question.
So I was reading an article last night about, the unfortunately the product shortage in our country right now, and the UPS president and CEO was quoted as saying, start your Christmas shopping early this year because of product shortages.
Yeah.
So first, have you experienced any product shortages, or should we consider just moving to our Christmas shopping with you?
Yes. Absolutely yes to the second question. And I actually always tell our customers to shop early for a few reasons. Not only because of potential shortages and things like that, which, as you're saying, are widespread more this year than ever, but actually also it's more environmentally friendly to shop early. If you're able to avoid that 2-day shipping, then you're able to make sure that that truck is full of what it's supposed to be full of and can take its route more naturally, and so the carbon emissions are way lower. So the cool thing is that our customers are already kind of primed and ready to be early shoppers, and we're able to do some good education about, hey, it's September, have you thought about anything you want to do for Halloween? And it's annoying for me as someone who always scoffed at stores for putting Christmas stuff out too early, but as a business owner, I get it now. And then as far as product shortages, the only thing that I've really struggled with this year is soap and toilet paper. The things that the whole country, everything. We haven't seen, I've been really impressed with our business owners. We didn't have one partner go out of business during COVID. They pivoted in huge ways. We had companies who were selling headbands, totally stop their production, move all the way to masks, because not only did they want to support people looking for masks, but also they knew that their artisans were relying on this income and they had to do something different in order to keep them with a living wage. So I'm constantly impressed with them, because even me, as someone who was having booming sales in e-commerce, was like, should I close the company? Like, we're having a pandemic, what are we doing? It's just a very destabilizing time for that first, especially few weeks when you saw a lot of companies taking actions like that. But
we haven't been as affected by a lot of the supply side of things. I think because we are small businesses, so the consistency, I'm not sure why, but it's been incredible. They've been amazing, but yeah, the large scale supply chain issues that I've been seeing haven't seemed to affect our partners' stock, or if they have, they've been able to pivot in a really cool way that continues to serve customers well. I've seen some shipping delays, but like I said, I think we kind of prime our customers not to be looking for like a 24-hour or 2-day shipping period, usually more like 5 to 7 days. I'm not saying you won't get something for a month, but that's been helpful, I think, is those expectations. Great question.
All right, who gets to ask our special question?
So what can we as the Colorado Springs business community do to support your company?
Yeah, I just love this about 1 Million Cups, and I too have thought a lot about it. As I said, I'm kind of in the discovery phase as far as what it would look like. Essentially, I'm deciding whether we're gonna do some debt financing, some angel investment, or maybe even work with some venture capital firms. And I've been taking essentially several meetings a week for the last 3 months figuring that out. So I'm still very much trying to be a sponge and learn about those things. So if you or someone you know is an expert in that, or if you're thinking, oh, I wish I could invest in Simple Switch, we're not taking that yet, so I'm not here to ask for your money, but I would love to learn from you. So that's one thing. And then the other is those partnerships that I mentioned in his marketing question. It's just, I'm assuming a lot of people in here are business owners or work for a business that might have aligned values with what we do. So if you're looking for corporate gifting, I heard someone mention that earlier about corporate catering, which I hope that you get a lot of clients from that. But if you guys are looking for Christmas gifts or packages or even discounts or anything like that for your company, we're able to help create a really unique and special solution for your company in that. So feel free to reach out to me. Or if you want to make yourself an affiliate and offer our products to your customers, a lot of small business owners have been doing that. So then you would get a commission on anything that's bought on our site for spreading the word. So, and then the last thing is kind of what you said, follow us on Instagram, join our email list, just get involved, download the app. I know a few of you already have. Just continue to engage, give me any feedback as you're trolling the website. I'm always going to be the one answering your questions, so I'm happy to hear them. I think each of you has a business card on the table, but also feel free to come and talk to me, and I can give you my contact information or answer any questions after. Thanks. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Your brand, your mission is just so incredible. So glad you could make it up here to share with the Colorado Springs community. Thank you all so much for coming this Wednesday morning. We hope to see you back next week. Before we go, give a big round of thanks to our venue, 3 E's Comedy. I have not seen Eric yet. I don't know if he's here. But yes, so next time you see Eric, tell him thanks for sharing this incredible space with us. And then we will see you back next week. Oh wait, one more thing, don't go. We have breakfast sponsors. Do we have one? Okay, well we have an imaginary gift certificate for you that we will get you back next week. We've got a business card. Okay, so Brandy is going to give away a $10 breakfast gift certificate.
Yes, so Matthew Biera, you should be giving this away. It's your the sponsor.
You got it.
All right, so Matthew's here this week. He wasn't here the past two just because he had stuff going on, but he sponsors a breakfast for everybody once per week, so we hope you will come back and join us. The breakfast burritos here are amazing. So I know that there was a lot of people asking questions. I want to pick somebody over here though, because I know there was a few people that were asking questions. Who was in the back? I know Tawny, I heard her. Who else? Were you the other one? Okay. What's your name? Krista. All right, you get breakfast on Matthew of Colorado Junk Removal. Thank you so much for coming. Before you leave, get with him and make him autograph it so we have that in writing that it's a free breakfast, okay? And you guys have a wonderful Wednesday. Thank you for being here.